Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious today. Got a fashion show going on between me and my good buddy, Carleton Bailie. How you doing, Carleton?
Good, good. It's always good to be down here. And
Well, we're always glad to get you out of your
I
hacienda there and away from all the squirrels and the animals that you're a caretaker of there at the
as long as they
Canaveral
don't
Groves
follow me down
Menagerie.
here, I'm going to come down here and bug you guys a lot more now.
Great. Well, of course, Carlton's been on the show. He's a partner of the American Space Museum, sharing his photography of all kinds of rocket launches. And uh,
Oh,
how many years you been carrying a camera around and photographing spacey things?
next December, well, next month, we'll finish up the 40th year and start the 41st year out there.
Wow. We'll have to do something special for you there, Carlton.
Find me a retirement
Uh,
home.
right, exactly. From 1980 on. That's awesome. About how many launches do you think you've covered?
Um, it's over 700. Then
Hmm.
we get into the sketchy of if I shoot it off base, but I still shoot it because we're not, badged to get in anymore if they don't support the media. I still consider that covering a launch if you're within a few miles of it. If I'm over in Orlando, then I don't count those. But I think they've done 83 launches this year, so most of the night SpaceX I've done from the front yard,
Hmm.
and we some of those we counted if we got good streak shots, and some of them I just kind of watched. But out of the 83, I don't know how many exactly, so probably going to go with you know 60% of those, and
Well, he knows how to handle a camera, not only looking at rockets, but looking at spacecraft in white rooms and things like that. And we're going to feature some of Carlton's photography. We're going to talk a little bit about some current events, including the Blue Origin suborbital flight that's going to get a lot of publicity for one science influencer, and glad about that as uh, she promotes science. Emily Calendrella was on that flight this morning that I watched. Those are cool to watch. And we're going to hit the auction just a little bit. Saturday is our auction to help sustain the museum. It's virtual. The gavel goes down at noon. Go to our website and download exactly where you can see it now in pre-bid on that. So looking who's in there, my daughter Jessica and McKinley, who's 3, and Macy, who's 1. My granddaughters are watching. So thank you all for watching today. Remind you all that this will be the day after Thanksgiving, a week from today. So I will be up in Tennessee with my family up there, my girls and Ryan up there. So looking forward to that. Kids, get Grandpa's bed ready, okay? And I'm going to enjoy relaxing a little bit and then hit the ground run a little bit in December, and then we'll relax again, right,
that's
Carlton?
right. That's right.
Got Steve Jokum says happy Friday to Mark, Marty, and Carlton, and everyone from the Stay Curious gang from his Lake County spaceport up on Fox Lake, Illinois. And I wonder if it snowed up there. I was watching the Cleveland
Oh,
Browns blizzard,
fine game.
and
Fine
was
game.
surprised. I gave up on them actually, and surprised to see they won today. That's
They were looking like the Browns of old.
well against the Steelers. That's always our adversary there.
Hmm.
And Connie McDaniel's watching from over in Tampa, saying hi to Carlton and
Hi,
Mark and Marty
Connie.
too. And she says sorry she missed dinner last night, and I think no one was more sorry than that than astronaut Charlie Walker, who we had dinner with last night. Thank you, Marty, for executing that. And
Thank
Charlie
you.
looked at me and he said, "Where are the women?" And uh,
Yeah.
Marty's joke that he didn't tell him was, "You're not John Harrington."
Uh,
and
it was a very nice conversation. I learned a lot
oh,
last night, but
Charlie
it
Walker,
was
you ever get to see him? The first civilian in space, truly, first on 3 flights, 18 months apart, uh, and a 41D, uh, 51D, and another one in there. But he flew with Hank Hartzell as his commander, and it was Hank's birthday yesterday, and I
hmm
reminded him of that. The late Hank Hartzfeld lived to be 81, died in 2014, 2024, I believe. Well, he died. I'm not gonna say exactly when because I'll say it wrong. But anyway, uh, great meal, right, Marty? We had a good time, and we always enjoy taking him out when we can. Charlie Walker. Uh, he did an electrophoresis machine 3 times up there, separating molecules and atoms and all kinds of stuff. So
It's interesting to talk to him and find out the little things, the things that aren't in books, and oh, you remember that? And it's
yeah,
the first civilian in space. We had that conversation, and it's the little things like that that you find out that, and they I think they're kind of glad that they get questions like that. I think because it's things that most people don't notice and don't realize things like that were actually happening.
well, they do, and a bunch of astronauts we've had the pleasure of taking out. They enjoy talking about their dog and their cat too. Marty, we were with Tom Jones. Flipped us out when we took Tom Jones to dinner, and he went around the table and asked everybody, "Where'd you grow up? And what'd you do? What kind of job you have?" And he's genuinely interested in everybody, and that was fascinating. Good man, Tom Jones. We got his book within earshot here somewhere. His shuttle book is one of the books of the year this
Yeah,
year.
hopefully he'll come back again soon.
So we've got Cindy Rothy saying hi. Hi, Cindy. And Tom Celentano and Dean Babcock. We got something from Dean Babcock queued up here. Fox McLeod says, I heard that in 1994 and 5, a total of 9 shuttle flights had news coverage to the back seat of a trial. Yeah, that's possible, Fox. They don't get the publicity they do. In fact, in the grocery store line just the other day, there's someone saying, "Did you see that shuttle go up yesterday afternoon?"
Anything that goes up now.
Everything goes up now is a shuttle. Hadn't done a shuttle in a while. We've got as our backdrop here the 1966 photograph of the century. This is the crater Copernicus, taken by Lunar Orbiter 2, that was scouting out places to land the Apollo spacecraft. And they tilted the camera sideways and got this perspective from about 60 miles up that blew everybody's mind. Now it's kind of commonplace to see astronomical artwork that mesmerizes people, but this was truly an image of the ages back then, and Life magazine touted it as such. So
not a good place to land, I would say.
that would not be a good place to land. There's some flat areas there, but around the central peak. But you're going to see what Copernicus looks like in my backyard telescope. We want to thank everybody for watching. This is our 1,175th episode. Now, I know Marty's not missed 20, and I may have missed 7 or 8. So, and thank everybody that helped us do a show when we weren't present, like John Graham and others. But it's truly because of you all out there wanting to watch this. I'd figure about when we hit 2,000 episodes, Marty, will be an overnight sensation, probably. So hang in there. But everybody is sharing and liking and telling people about our little social gathering here at 4 o'clock on weekdays on the East Coast. And we're waking up Cliff Watson. It's 8 in the morning in Australia when he's watching it. And Robert Law's up in Dundee, Scotland, and it's just starting to get 9/11 up there. I think they're 5 hours difference, so he's enjoying his Friday hot toddy up there. So,
2 of my bucket list.
so but thank you, everyone. Sincerely, Marty and I really would be history if it wasn't for so many of you wanting to watch this, and our board of directors does know about our program and puts it in our model for things that we're doing to get more companies on and so forth. Yes, Marty, you got a question?
No, I held up the comment sign.
Oh, okay.
But first, before I get to the comment, I missed less than 20 shows because when John was here, I was remoted in.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably 15 at the most you missed.
I don't
Total.
think that much. But
All right, good. Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe 10.
The unsung hero, because he's always behind the camera and nobody ever sees him. So just because he
Twice. He's been on this side twice, and he did a great show on the lunar module using square rubber insulation for your chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Scratch proof your floor with those things. That was awesome, Marty. I enjoyed that. Look up Marty Winkle and you'll see his on the other side a couple times.
Okay, well, getting back to the comment, came from Scott Fox McLeod.
Yeah, I read his comment. I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
I talked about that. We're not talking about trials of other people and stuff like that. Sorry, Fox. No, I did mention that he was going. I didn't see where it was going. There was 9 flights, and a trial took precedence over those flights, and yeah, we understand that. But still, I'm going to go up to Tennessee, and they're not going to care anything about what I care about here. But thank you for everybody commenting. Let's stick to what we're talking about here, and that is space news and so forth. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching there. So there's your publicity I did for you there, and there is a photograph that Dean Babcock sent us of the rollover of Atlantis. Okay. The astronauts are all in front here, he says. Okay. And this is when it was taken from where to where? I'm unclear.
It was they were taking it up to some space park, and because it was in that period where I was in and out of the hospital a lot, and so I was there, but I don't remember. But Mark Cusack was there. Maybe he'll write in. They were taking it up to the space park up there to do the official. If I remember correctly, they do the official sign over from NASA to Delaware North. And why they didn't do it closer to the VAB, I don't know. Maybe because of the...
Well, Dean Babcock, thank you for sharing this photo. Those are astronauts underneath the transporter. That transporter, I do know, came from Vandenberg. Marty, remember that story? Clay Walker. Hello, Clay, if you're watching. Did a great show on Vandenberg Slick 6. This is how they were going to transport the shuttle. You know, they didn't want to put it on its own wheels for some reason. Don't know what the reason is. We'll ask Terry White about that. We had Terry White on yesterday. Had a great show about the tiles again. Can't get enough about the tiles. We're going to talk next time Terry's on about the nose and the complexity of the nose. That was the hottest in point 1 going.
That was like you said with the gray on the leading edge of the wings was the reinforced carbon. Yep. That's what the nose was. Anything gray on there like that was the reinforced carbon.
Great pictures there. Thank you for sharing those, Dean. And I've got some pictures from Steve Jokums and Doug Forrest I'll be sharing next week. That I've been holding back about Endeavor's situation out there, Los Angeles. Let's go through the auction real quick. Chuck Jeffrey, over 30 years of experience with space memorabilia. He mentored me, and he was mentored by Ken Habicott. And so we're there's his number. If you think you have something, email a picture of it to him. He'll be glad to see it and talk about it, or get him on the phone, and he will set up, if you're local, to look at your collection and tell you what it was worth. And if we don't put it in the auction or you can sign it, he may buy it from you. So our auction is going to be, right now, you can bid on 400 items, including items from Launch Director Bob Seek. He's given the money to the Challenger Center. Space worker Bob Giffen, who passed away this year, did a historic elevated pad repair on the Saturn V. But he's got a lot of really interesting things his estate does. Dozens of astronaut autographs. Robbins medals that are very cherished. They were available to the astronauts and then their families, and astronaut Woody Spring is selling his. So you can start a collection of photos. You can start a collection of, some people, Carleton, want to have all 135 shuttle missions, crew sign lithograph or photo of that. Start your collection now on that.
I think I'm up to about 65.
Yeah, about 65 of them, do you?
Full crews, yeah.
Interesting. There is a 51L crew sign photograph that Bob Seek has in there. That could go from $6,000 to $10,000. All right.
Don't have that one.
Dean Babcock's telling us on those pictures he went from VAB with a stop at Exploration Park and then to the Visitor Center for placement in his new home. Thanks, Dean. That had to be a special day that you were at. Ken Edwards says hi to my old buddy Carleton.
Yeah, Ken, how doing? Kenny boy, how's the weather up there? You're getting snow?
Yeah.
We got cold last night. It was in the 50s.
He says you're getting a bit grayer. You better go get that hair dye at CVS.
Yeah, it's thinking about how old and how long ago from Huguenot Academy we graduated.
This is some of Bob Giffin's stuff. That North American aviation patch with one of his certificates could go as high as $300 or $400. Those are well sought after. That's a big patch that was on their backs. And some other, his Apollo 6 viewing area badge there. Apollo 6 was the all-up first test. It was really amazing. Had problems with Pogo, and yet the next one they took it to the moon with Apollo 8. Space flown flag there in the middle, I believe. All kinds of postal covers over my head. And you can talk to Fred Hayes or Charlie Duke for 30 minutes. If you win the bid, and John Borelli, I see you on there. Good luck with your bid. He's put a bid in for Fredo there. You've talked to both of these gentlemen, I believe, one-on-one, haven't you?
Yes, both of them.
Yeah.
In fact, Charlie I met over at Ken Havocot's, and calls up, says, "Come on over."
Well, I'm pretty sure they won't have an egg timer at 30 minutes.
No, you get them going, and it's like you wind them up, and like the Energizer Bunny, they love to talk, and the fact that this money's going to charity, I think, is another incentive that they'll be more open to.
Infinity Museum is where Fredo's is going there, and I believe there's a charity chosen for Charlie Duke. Get online and read up all about it, and bid till it hurts. Now, I'll bet you've read Scott Carpenter's For Spacious Skies, or Gordon Cooper's Leap of Faith, or maybe The All-American Boys is a good one by Walt Cunningham, where there's the leather-bound editions of these available, all right? And they should start out at about $150 because they're autographed. So you got the Magnificent Desolation is autographed by Buzz. You got Apollo 13 there by Lovell. So
I've never seen those versions of the heart. As long as I've been doing this, I saw those advertising. I'm like, those.
Yeah, I've not either.
Never
and
seen
so
those.
Chuck
So
Jeffrey,
whether
our
they came
collection
out,
and auction guy, he found these. Somebody's either consigning them or he found them in a collection there. Ken Edwards says there's no snow in Richmond.
no.
But there's going to be snow, probably a white Christmas all over the country, maybe. Here's some great models. Look at them beautiful models. How many of those rockets did you photograph? You got the
Well, the Atlas. Well,
Delta, the Thor. You weren't around for the Thor.
No.
These are older ones.
Yeah.
The Nike Zeus, that's a rare model. The Delta 3000.
The Delta 3000 I would have seen. The first Atlas I saw was still in the Atlas 1 configuration, Atlas Centaur 62 or so, and it was still in the shorter frame. And then when we were doing the Deltas, they theoretically would have still been Delta 1s, because the first Delta 2, I believe, was launched on Valentine's Day in February. So the Delta 2 started after, so not the early days, but early enough for me.
Well, another snow report. John Borelli, who's sat in this seat and talked to us, a rocket chaser. He got 5 inches of snow. But it's gone by now, he said. Yeah, I wonder about all that snow up in Cleveland. Stuck around. Or
I can imagine those guys.
I heard from Chris Cowley, Marty. Chris had about 5 inches of snow in his backyard up in Connecticut. His patio furniture that he hadn't put up yet had about that much snow on it. So should have saved that picture for today's Stay Curious. But I'm working on a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff the last couple days. So, and we're looking forward to taking a break. But we'll have shows Monday and Tuesday next week, and probably a repeat on Wednesday. So, well, my friend, we talk about how many people are in space right now. 10 humans orbiting the Earth. 622 since 1961, and Yuri Gagarin, 80 of them of women who have orbited the Earth. The record is 19, set this last September, which that seems to me, growing up as a baby boomer, is a low, low number. And of course, we got 3 Chinese up there. That woman is a rookie. She become the 80th woman in space. Next week, I'll tell you how long they've all been up there. I was looking, Sonny and Butch have been up there for about 170 days, I think. All right.
It's worse than the Gilligan's Island tour.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about Don Pettit, who American astronaut on his 4th trip to the International Space Station. Don there in the lower left-hand corner right there. We'll feature some of his photography at the end of the show. He's the MacGyver of the astronauts. He can do anything up there. And then you've got Nick Hague and his Russian buddy Gorbanev up there on the Crew Dragon. All right. And so 10 humans orbiting the Earth, but we had some humans leave the Earth briefly, the gravity of the Earth, and that was the Blue Origin which what do they call that one? The New Shepard 28, NS 28. 6 people were up and down in 10 minutes, including husband and wife who did this for the 2nd time, and that would be where's their name at? Mark and Sharon Hagel. They flew together on NS-20 in March 2022, so a little over 2 years later, 2.5 years later. They're the 4th crewed flight of this vehicle. All right, there's the launch of it. I watched it this morning. It's whatever they're doing is dramatic, and they bring the first stage back. The gumdrop up at the top with the big windows goes up to about 300,000 feet, a little over 62 miles, which is the Kármán line, where it's generally agreed that is outer space. But the Air Force says 50 miles, as you well know. Here's the crew. There's the husband and wife on the left to the right, Mark and Sharon Hagel. I understand they have connections in Orlando. And that's the lady that's getting all the publicity. She's called the Space Gal, Emily Calandrelli, author, television host, online science communicator. She says that she's the 100th woman to go to space. So look out for that PR machine, because this is about $250,000, isn't it, to get a ticket on there?
I think minimum, yeah.
So she got a lot of benefactors and companies and stuff like that. She does a great job with science education with kids, and she's all about girls in particular. And so good luck to her. But she says she's the 100th woman to go to space. Well, there's 94 men and women that have gone above 50 miles. And that includes 9 women that were on the Virgin Galactic spaceship that's more of a space plane, and is taken up by another plane, and a jet engine takes it up to just about 52, 53 miles. It hasn't hit the Kármán line yet. Yet they're all astronauts. What do you think about that?
Well, I've flown 3 or 4 dozen. I've been inside 3 or 4 dozen airplanes before, but that didn't make me a captain.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's kind of, with me, it's a moot point. If you want to be one, you be one. But there's official, and there's what you tell your friends kind of thing. And if they want to say they're astronauts, but I think the technical people know that if you go, you go, and then if you're paying $250, you're an honorary maybe, or a Kármánaut.
Well, the demarcation line is 100 kilometers. Kármán was a physicist that figured you're weightless there. Marty, ingeniously, we want to honor these people. They're called Kármánauts. They're not astronauts.
Right.
And you need to orbit the Earth to be an astronaut, I believe. And so first people play the card of Alan Shepard and Gus Grissom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because they had suborbital flights.
But they flew
But guess
again.
what? Yeah.
Yeah, they flew again.
They both flew again, and of course Shepard walked on the moon, and Gus would have for sure. But
Yeah, I think they're going to have somebody, the international space people are going to have to get together and say, look, we need the limits.
well, they do this. The Association of Space Explorers that Charlie Walker, who we had dinner with last night, is part of, and I think was a vice president or secretary of it. They did let the suborbital people in. Okay.
Yeah.
And Marty, I talked to an astronaut who didn't like that. And said that he pulled away from the Association of Space Explorers because they let the suborbital people in.
Well,
We'll talk about who that is off air, but
these people are suborbital and are called astronauts, and yet if you're a payload specialist for NASA, you didn't get an astronaut pin or the orbital pin. So in some ways,
right, Charlie Walker did not get a pin, an astronaut
so
pin.
they didn't consider them
nor
astronauts.
did J.D. Bartow, nor did Sam Durrance.
So it's all apples and oranges of who you go to, which is the best. And
well, Brave, it's a very expensive joyride, but it is you do witness something that few people have. Emily was very moved emotionally by seeing the blackness of space she talked about, and the curvature of the Earth and all that. They didn't talk to anybody else. Okay, I'm sure they did, but the other men there, Austin Littrell, works in risk management, financial industry. He won his seat by a contest on an online shopping platform. James Russell, JD, is a technical entrepreneur, and Henry Wolfond paid his own way going up there. This is the 9th flight of the Blue Origin crewed flight of the New Shepard, and the 3rd this year. And boy, we had NS-26 beside us here, and that was Sabri. Sarah Sabri, the Egyptian lady.
Oh, yeah.
And she was on the show, and you thought she'd walked on the moon. She was so affected by it.
I'm
she
sorry
was awesome.
I missed that, yeah.
And she had her whole posse with them here. We got them all on Stay Curious that day. So look up Sarah Sabri, Sabry, and that was a really good show. And, you know, I guess I would do it if somebody paid me to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I'd be scared to death. All right, every moment of it until the weightlessness part of it. But and then I'd be waiting for them parachutes to go out.
I think until my foot took a step out the door after we landed, then I would start breathing and.
But we know how a lot of people, Richard or Shatner, he was affected by his flight at age 91.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good thing, all right, but let's not get too carried away about it. You know, you went up a 10-minute flight. Maybe you were lucky to have 4 minutes, 5 minutes of weightlessness. And I don't like that they don't have flight suits on. If one of them windows popped out, they don't have a space suit on for decompression, which was all that all that we're doing now.
And if they're going with why do we need them? We're not going to have a problem. It's never happened before.
And that's not a good way to think.
We've heard that many times from other organizations. And if nothing else, some sort of protection for them, even if it was like a personal air pack. But then that's not even going to work in the atmosphere or lack of that's up there.
We'll get ready for Emily Calandrella coming your way, because she will be on all the morning shows and everything as the 100th woman to go to space. And we're just putting an asterisk from it. She's from Morgantown, West Virginia. And 2 other astronauts have come from there. Of course, Big John McBride. And one other astronaut come from there. A recent, or Drew Morgan. Yeah, Drew Morgan's from West Virginia. So, Marty, take it away.
Here we have a question from Dean Babcock. Carleton, which photo you taken are you the most proud of? And I think we talked about that once before. The moon one.
I think, yeah, the number
Well,
one
let's
photo.
show it here to you. There, just a second. There you are with Too Short. Wendy Lawrence is an awesome person.
Awesome, wonderful lady.
Has a great personal story about being estranged from her father and then bonding with him late in his life. And we did the whole show on that one day, Marty. But there's CB. There's your photo, I would say.
I think this is the most, yeah. It got a lot of play. It got a lot of cover. It made the cover of Aviation Week. It was film. It was back when the Air Force said set up here, and it was a delayed launch, and it wasn't. Didn't have a handheld computer going like, okay, well we got to move 15 feet to the right and 3 feet forward, and then you'll get the. If you were there, you're there, and it launched, and after everybody kind of like looked at each other, went, did we see what we think we just saw? And between the fella on my left, which was from Orlando Sentinel, he had a digital that the rocket went more closer to the center, but it was all blown out because of the digital. It was like a new digital. And the guy to my right.
Can you move that just a little bit, Marty? That picture? Is that too much?
No, easier to move you.
Oh,
move
there.
us. There we go. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Earthquake. The fellow next to me on my right hand side was from Reuters, and I still talk to him, Duff and McGee. His just is like right at the edge where it's missing it. So you got the moon, you got the rocket, but this one, and you can see the venting on the upper stage as it's going through. And the CEO of Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, you see a little shadow of a vent up there by the cone coming up there. That's and this is what do you say, February 2000.
January 2000.
January 2000. What was the rocket?
It was an Atlas Centaur with a DSCS.
Department, top secret.
It was a secret. Back then they were secret. It was a.
There's the venting Marty was showing there. What kind of equipment did you have?
I had a Canon. It was manual. It was probably an old Canon.
What size lens?
That was an 800.
An 800 millimeter lens, handheld or on a tripod?
No, it was on a tripod.
Right.
It was actually the UCX lens.
Well, it's a telescope there for sure.
And it is the only frame. The one before it, the launch, and it's the only frame I got with the rocket going through. You had film, so you couldn't do what you do now.
What's beautiful is it's a hard shot to know the exposure because you probably weren't on automatic and you took the exposure of the moon.
It was exposed. Well, no, we didn't even know the moon wasn't even there when the launch was supposed to go. And by the time the launch went, everybody was going, well, we got to go home because we've been in a hold for so long. And the rocket took off and nobody even really paid any attention to the moon until afterwards. So theoretically, we were still exposing for the rocket launch. So it was probably 500-8 with 400 speed film. And you expose, and once the rockets go off the pad, you just get a big red fireball anyway. And so anything after that, and then this is not Photoshop. This is not stacked like they do now. This is 400 speed
raw out of
Kodak
the camera,
film, and
that's cool. Well,
CEO of Lockheed Martin used it as his Christmas card that year. So yeah, I think that's got to be one of my favorite. If not
Connie
most.
McDaniel likes it, and she said she has a copy. And thanks for the question, Dean. Martin Jorina. Wish you all the best, Mr. Bailie. You're an amazing photographer. So,
well, thank you, Martin. And I'll get with you and get you that picture you want.
We're always saying that to people, aren't we?
Yeah,
I'll get you that picture.
I usually do it, unless I go home and twirl and forget about it. But then if they remind me, I'm always good with it.
Well, you helped us share a interesting day. Tell us about this slide I put together here.
Well, yeah, I was working for, I think it was Boeing and the Delta people back then. And back then, you would launch a rocket, and technically, they would launch a rocket, then they would sit back, get all the information from it to make sure that everything, because if they put everything in orbit, they wanted to make sure everything on the paperwork was right. And they wanted to check all the facts and figures before they would launch another one. And they launched an Iridium out in California, Iridium satellites, which were, I guess, what you said, like the Starlinks that are now, because they were supposed to be for Iridium, for telephones back then.
We used to get Iridium flares regularly timed in the sky and tell people we're going to make a star appear and then disappear. And it was fun.
and then they launched another rocket here, and I photographed. It was probably Bill Hartenstein might have done the one on the West Coast, and I did the one here. And as a way of promoting their business and their abilities to get your payloads into orbit, they're like 2 rockets, 5 days, no problem. And that was on different coasts. In fact, that was like a national ad campaign kind of thing. I think it might have been even in the USA Today, a full page.
So on November 11th this year,
those
are your 2 photos.
Yeah, 2 launches, 4 hours, 1.5 miles, 2 miles apart. And I'm like, I had enough problems in the past doing them 5 days apart, and this is now 5 hours apart, 4 hours apart. But they have new range systems. They have new ways to read the data coming back. They have new automated self-destruct mechanisms on the SpaceX. So they do have a guy, I think, that'll sit there with his finger on the button just in case. But the rockets, I believe, have their own built-in, we'll take care of ourselves if we need to. So they don't have to reconfigure the range like they used to, because it was always usually a 24-hour to 48-hour to reconfigure the range, not only here, but all the way down to Antigua and across the Atlantic. So
the one was about 12:30 and the other at 4:30. I was sitting in here listening to the rumble as it went up, a Starlink, but the KoreaSat was an important satellite going up there, and those are nice, beautiful pictures of yours there, Carleton.
Well, thank you.
And of course, 4 hours is not the record. 90-some minutes is, with the Gemini 12, the Atlas Gina rocket launched, and then 96 minutes later, Gemini 12 was launched. I think they'd had a couple other Gemini missions that also did that. But threw a couple pictures in there that anyone can take a picture of a rocket launch. They know where to point it.
Yeah.
You're usually something like this, about a 300 millimeter lens.
Yeah, I think that was either that might have been the 400 millimeter. But 300 is not bad. This is over in Port St. John, just at the public boat dock. And 20, 30 minutes beforehand, everybody just kind of piled in.
Right. Yep.
The hard part is trying to find out where, if it's a little hazy on the bottom, where the pads are. You kind of got a thing, and I've gotten it down now where I know, because I'll take pictures before, after, and then I can go like, okay, those trees that go this way and that way, that's where it's going to come. And it's easy to, you just go down there, and first of all, I'd advise you to try to take a picture if you want, but watching these things is, if you don't have a good camera, if you don't have a long lens, your phone will get some good stuff, but just the fact that you're seeing a launch and feeling it and hearing it, no, you don't have that personal record, but you got it in your mind that you watch.
Experience it. I've been, of course, been a shutterbug all my life, and I've kind of gotten away from taking so many pictures as just taking my mental impression of it there. I love watching the night launches and the blue flame change in there.
Yeah,
so
you do that because your artwork, and it's good.
Yes. So
it's just hard to make
Marty does not have a question for us today, Dean.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, Marty does.
We just don't have the image.
Yeah, we don't have the image up there. Marty will have a question. Go ahead and shout it out there, buddy.
Okay. How many manned drop tests were made with the Space Shuttle Enterprise? How many manned drop tests were made with the Space Shuttle Enterprise?
Good one. That's a good one. How many drop tests crewed manned were the Enterprise? So the famous ALT program, approach and landing
Landing.
tests there. Sorry, I didn't make a slide. So I'll get out of my laziness. Really not lazy. I'm doing a lot of PR stuff going on, and about 2 hours of answering emails today from the whole week. So I
You're
clean
getting
out my
popular.
inbox. Yes, sirree. But you were popular, and that's why you're here today to share a little more about your photography. You got another photography question, or where should people coming down? Dean Babcock wants to come down. Tom Celentano, they may know a place, they may not. But where'd be a good place to see rocket launches?
Pretty much anywhere along US 1 here, between, say, was that like just east of the Space Museum. You can go over to the Spaceview Park, all the way down to Titusville and say the McDonald's down in Titusville, which is, I think, one of Tom Usiak's landmarks, Seven Wonders of the World. That way on US 1 is good. Now, if it's going north, you want to be farther closer to the Spaceview Park. If it's going to go south, you can go down to the end of like US 1 around 50, or you can go all the way down to where I shoot in Port St. John, which is just a little bit further. It's about 8 miles from here, and it's just across the river, and you'll get it. And you, either way it goes, you'll get it to the point where it gets up and starts curving over. And if it goes south, you get better shots. And that's like in Port St. John, and they have the boat ramp, and right next to that, they have a little family park.
So how do you know that? What does someone's coming down here? We've got Dave Stangy's going to come down here and get warm sometime this spring with his wife Julia. Where are they going to? How would they know when the launch is going?
Well, there's several ways. Florida Today is the local newspaper, and then on their website they'll have next launch.
We don't want to pay for Florida Today.
Well, you can go online and get maybe I got the subscription. I don't know. Spaceflight Now will have a next launch. Next Flight Now,
Mm-hmm.
or there's several apps that you can use.
Well, the Launch Monkey, we call it.
Yeah. Okay.
And but just get on your Android or iPad or
If
iPhone.
you Google when's the next launch from Florida,
Yeah.
you will be there for 3 days reading all the different places that will put these launches. I finally learned, like on the Starlink, if it's if they say like 10-6,
Mm-hmm.
the 10 is the plane that it's going in, and 10 means it's going to a northern plane, so it's going to go north. If it's their 6-7 or 6-19, then it's going to go south. So the leading number on the Starlinks is the direction it's going to go, north or south. If they say it's geosynchronous, it's going to go straight east,
Right.
or pretty much straight east. If it's anything going to the space station, it's going to go north on a northerly trajectory.
Well, that's fun to watch. We're gonna and at the nighttime, the only way you can really get a great shot is by doing the streak shot there. But Marty's questions is without the graphics is the most popular one with the answers, Marty, and we've got some great guests there. But again, Marty, again, ask him. We're not going to reveal what the right answer is, but I see who is the first one, I think, to get it right. Your question again, Marty, and we'll reveal it here in a little bit.
How many manned drop tests were made with the Space Shuttle Enterprise?
There you go. Anyway, good guesses there, everybody, and thank you, Fox McCloud. He really is inspired by this Copernicus shot there, that he says it looks very foreboding and hostile, as opposed to what we're used to. And that was the emotions coming out of the American people. We'd never seen a photo this close of another world.
No,
All right.
Only Hollywood pictures.
Yeah, like all the movies and stuff like that. And one thing they noticed right away is the mountains of the moon were soft, like covered with snow, but they're actually covered with dust pelted by micrometeorites for a billion years. And but most of the movies like Destination Moon and other ones have real sharp lunar mountains and stuff like that on there. So thank you all for watching today. We're visiting with Carleton Bailie here, who became my friend when I looked at that famous picture he took of the rocket in front of the moon. And it's been a fun ride, hasn't it, my friend?
It has. I learned a lot, met a lot of good people, really nice people. I met you and Marty, and one of the most impressive things I've done since I've been here and met with you guys, when Marty gave us the personal tour of the limb over at the Apollo Saturn building. That is one of the most informative things that I've ever done, and it's certainly the most informative tour I've ever had over there. And I learned more from Marty in that one day than you could read in any book, I think.
Yep, limb number 9 there out at Kenny Visitors Complex. And Marty is going to offer to do that during Shuttle Fest. You come early on Friday, like in the morning, or stay till Monday. Marty's going to give a private tour, just like you say, at the Lunar Module number 9 at the Saturn V Center. And then when they come back and drop you off the bus, Terry White's going to give you a private tour of the space shuttle there. And he might get arrested, but he's willing to risk it, isn't he, Marty?
Well, as long as everybody knows they're my family members,
Okay.
we'll be okay.
All right, yeah. That's an inside joke. There's some. We had all of the docents from Kennedy Space Center here, and they don't want them to give private tours on the side or anything like that, unless it's your family. So, and we don't know why, but
I just have a lot of cousins.
yeah, you got a lot of cousins, so you have to pay your own ticket to get to Kennedy Space Center, get in the carpool. But this is something that we're layering on Shuttle Fest to make it a great experience. Absolutely. We've already got a couple people say that they're looking forward to it. So let's talk a little bit about you, Carleton. We call that the streak shot.
The streak shot.
Because it's a streak across the sky. We're fully clothed.
Yes, I was.
Not fully. It's Florida. We got pants on, right?
Well, yeah, because of the mosquitoes. Maybe the night launches. You get a lot of people do daytime streak shots now, but they're like 30-second ones. They call them like sabers off
Right,
the pad.
yeah.
This was probably a 4 to 5, maybe even a 6-minute streak shot. And I did that basically from my side yard. It was actually just over the fence in my neighbor's yard. Because
look at the brightness,
and then the colors,
and then the colors at the end, and you see those colors come out.
That again, that's not Photoshop, because I release these as news people.
That's one of the best color ones I've seen.
And you do get those colors, I mean, depending on the atmospheric conditions and everything. But I've learned where it is and where it goes, and actually being farther away, I can get some better streak shots because you don't get a lot of that mist and haze at the bottom. Jetty Park, Cocoa Beach are great places for streak shots, or just regular daytime launches. But it's something so simple.
So what's the mechanics of your camera? Tell people what the secrets of getting this shot.
Well, this is just a regular Canon D40 or 40D, which is it's years old, so it's one of the beginner model kind of things, but it works. So you set it up on a tripod. You focus your camera. You don't focus to infinity. You almost infinity. You find something farthest away that you think, and you get it focused like that. You tape that down. This one was probably f/22 because you want it closed as much as you
want
can.
A high f-stop is the key.
Because
Very
it's going to
high.
be open. This was probably open 6 minutes. You see a couple star trails there.
Yeah.
And it's on a tripod. Best thing, I use
The other tip is
hand control.
low ISO.
Oh, low ISO. Mine, this one would go down to 100. Some of the newer cameras will go down to 25. Sometimes you have to experiment. The farther away you are, if you do it up at like at the Space Center, you put a f/22. I actually, in the side yard, this was probably like between 12 and 13 because
We experiment with that.
You
We're
have-
talking about the opening of the lens, which people's eyes are glazing over already. But it doesn't matter what brand of camera you have.
No.
All right, this is and you can do this with some of the new smartphones that have a time exposure, but if you do it on automatic, the trees are going to be way overexposed and the sky go completely white, and you're not going to see anything. That's why you need a high ISO on
and
there,
a tripod. And if you don't have I use controllers
Right.
where remote control.
Remote controller, self timer.
And if you
Yes.
don't have one of those, you can always, like, if you want to wait just before it goes, or if you see it start coming up, put your camera on a 2-second delay. And that 2 seconds will give the camera, or a 5-second delay, it'll give the camera enough time to start wibble wobble.
Yeah, camera shake from your trigger action, or put your hand in front of it. the lens,
And don't
trigger
touch it because
don't
you'll
touch
you'll
it.
get it like it was going to
Yeah.
go off course.
There's a nice telephoto shot with the payload there, and the shot we had there that we featured today. Got to be interesting to take the big ones.
That was actually on the VAB roof. Yeah, it was. Well,
Falcon Heavy off the VAB roof, huh?
and both boosters landed back so you're kind of at eye level with the boosters when they're coming down and starting to land.
So that was the first one with the Roadster. Wow.
Yeah.
And they're tracking that Tesla Roadster around the solar system. There's a Parker solar probe that you took is underneath there.
Mhm.
And so you saw it leave Earth at about it'd have to go over 10,000 miles an hour escape velocity, the Earth. And there's a streak shot you took of it.
And this is, I mean, we tell people, oh, it disappeared into the clouds. And some people, depending where you are, the closer you are, that one cloud could obscure your whole vision of this if you were between.
Right there, the cloud there across the bottom.
And that cloud was, I'm not good with it. But yeah, it going through that kind of gives it this surreal, like.
Well, there is the Parker Solar Probe that an artist's rendering of it. It is going the closest to the sun than any man-made object within 9 million miles. It's made, I think, 22 orbits. It goes out to about almost to Mercury, beyond Mercury, and then comes back in. And this is one of the photos up closest taken of the sun, edge of the sun, and some of the atomic reactions going off of it.
Well,
Now,
it
why
looks-
it doesn't meld, it has a special blocking on it that you see in this picture. Blocks all the instruments, supposedly from the heat. It's got special cool things on it. But it's cool that you saw it leave the Earth and head to the sun. And named after a famous solar scientist named Parker there. So that's why you do it, to see the results, huh? And there's another launch. That's the
CRS
Yeah.
31. And people, I get the biggest debate I have with people is when they go like, I love night launches. They're so beautiful. And yes, they are, unless you're trying to photograph them. Once it gets a little bit any higher than this, you're lucky if you don't get anything but a glow in the sky. If you do it just right and got it just setting right, you'll get the rocket in there, you'll get the vehicle in there. But for the most part, it's so bright against the dark sky that you just see the orange flame ball because you can't expose for both the flame and the rocket.
Right.
So if you're trying to take pictures, get it coming off the pad and then just...
Literally, you've got like 5 seconds to get that shot, and then it's too high.
Once it
in
clears
the dark,
the
and all
tower...
you're seeing is the flame ball there. Well, that was the last supply ship to the International Space Station. And here's the the vehicles that are parked at the space station. That was the CRS 31, the Crew Dragon. That they had to move the Crew 9 Dragon, was parked where the cargo ship is.
Mhm.
And they got Nick Hague and the Russian and Butch and Sonny in their new SpaceX suits in that to move it around. Took about less than a half an hour to make room for the cargo ship. There's a Cygnus cargo ship, is where the that's a Northrop Grumman supply ship. That'll be going off pretty soon. The Progress 89 is the Russian cargo ship, and MS-26 is what brought up the 3 astronauts, including Don Pettit, whose artwork we're going to see here in just a minute. Now, when you're hearing about the pressure leaks, and you're hearing those stories and seeing them almost every day now.
Yeah, and
50 leaks on the International Space Station. It's losing 2 pounds of air a day, which it is. There's no doubt about it. And it's not a desirable situation.
no.
But it's manageable. And but that's all right in here that they're talking about.
It's mostly in the Russian segments.
The Russian segments right here, which is Zarya and Zvezda. All right. And read a story today, Carleton, about making this a museum, taking it to the Lagrange points around between the Earth and the Moon, where it's in a stable orbit like the Webb telescope and other satellites, and leaving it there for future generations to visit and marvel at, much like we do the Roman Colosseum and other engineering marvels of the day. Or companies may take, like maybe Japan will take their Kibo module off.
Well, I've seen
it.
some things that they, like, why don't they go up and grab these pieces and bring them back to Earth? Taking them up is one thing. That's the easy part. Packing them up and bringing them back might be a little difficult.
Yeah, and the other alternative is to create another junk pile in the ocean and hope it
Makes the
Chicken
ocean.
Little isn't right, that you don't get hit. But so, notice these solar panels here. Those are actually radiators. I think we're going to see those in a picture here too. So, there's a picture of yours that I will show it to. There you go. Little art shot of yours there.
Oh, it was when you're in a hold or you got an hour or two to wait. You also do test shots if you're going to do a streak. So you're doing this and doing that. So that shows pad 39, A and B, and it shows the
VAB.
VAB, and then over on this side it shows the Atlas pad and the Dragon pad. So 41 and 40, and then you got 39 A and B over there, and some cape things, and then there's that one cloud that went right over the pad right at launch.
And I say making a test shot. How has the digital world changed the way you take photographs?
Well, you see pretty much right away. I mean, when you do it, and first of all, you can see whether you're focused or not, and that's the important part. But you could also, do you want to do a little f-stop, a little connection here, a little connection there? Correct. With film, you set it and forget it, as they would say on KTEL, and you hope for the best. That it's in focus and that you got the right exposure and you're pointed the right way, and that was sort of hit and miss. And now with the digital, you can make sure you got enough land or too much land. You kind of know in the sky. You go like, okay, well, last time it didn't go quite into the Big Dipper there, and it was only 3 days ago, and the Big Dipper's kind of still there, so it's not going to go there. So you have the camera high enough or low enough, and you can keep doing until you get just the right picture. You can set the shutter speed up and down and this and that, so you can do a lot quicker. You don't need to do a 6-minute exposure. You can get a 30-second exposure by changing your f-stop and your ISO, and then you look at that and go like, okay, let's move it over this way just a little bit, and I cut the wrong pad out, and by the time it launches on paper,
set up.
you theoretically you got it set up proper.
The way to do it in the old film days was take a Polaroid and have a Polaroid back on your camera. Well, thank you for letting us share some of your pictures there, Carleton. And William Whiting says thanks for the great advice, and let's move on to let's look at the Copernicus picture again. That was so just jaw-dropping when it was taken 61 years ago by a Lunar Orbiter 2. There was 5 of them that actually scouted. But you know what? It took pictures on a film to process the film as it was orbiting the moon and then scan the film like a fax machine. That was the system that was inside the Lunar Orbiter spacecraft. And you'll see some pictures where the film's stuck together and it's got blotches where it pulled apart on there. I've done that in a dark room.
Yeah.
But
This
I
does
just
so hostile looking.
just yes. And there is Copernicus seen through a telescope. Of course, from Earth, we just see straight down on it. But the lunar orbiter was coming from one of the sides, and that is actually the central peak in the middle. That when you see this central peak of Copernicus there, how did this, is that a volcano, we thought, or volcanoes? And no, just take Tom Celentano, he said they had snow, just take that snowball and throw it straight down in the ground, and that crater you see splay out will have a central peak in it from the impact and the physics of how this all splays out. And that's what happened here. 56 miles across, very easy to see in the middle of the moon after first quarter. Copernicus, named after the astronomer who was the first one that dared say the Earth is not the center of the solar system, the sun is, and we go around the Earth. The Earth goes around the sun. And in 1570, that was so controversial that he was on his deathbed when he published that. So, well, Marty, let's give the answer to your question there. Give the question, and we've got a bunch of good guesses there, and then it drove people to Google. You drove them to Google, Marty, to get the right answer. Repeat the question and the answer.
Okay, the question is, I put my glasses on. Okay, how many manned drop tests were made with the Space Shuttle Enterprise?
And the answer
is 5. And I think I got confused with Steve's answer. Initially says,
I think John Borelli had it first.
Yeah.
There were some 2s and 3s in there, and then they looked it up, and lo and behold, it is 5. Of course, you had Fred Hayes, and Gordon Fullerton did 3 of them, and 2 of them by Joe Engel and Richard Truly. And that was a scary situation. They also did a few where they didn't detach off that 747 that's properly called the Shuttle Carrier Aircraft, SCA. So thank you all for participating in that. 5 is the correct answer. And Steve Jokums adds the little bit of trivia that the last 2 had the cone off. Yes, 3 of them, they had the cone over the engines, testing the aerodynamics, and then they did on that. And John Borelli, the rocket chaser up in New York, says that he's got autographs of them on that. So great. Thank you all for participating in that. We're going to go out today with Stay Curious with a little bit of some beautiful photography that 2 photographers do admire. This is Don Pettit. And Don is, let's get back to some of his pictures. Don is looking out a port window with a, what they call a barn door camera. All right. And not going to elaborate that too much, that the barn door camera can be moved to move, all right, with the motion of the stars. That's what it was actually a door with a hinge, put the camera on it, and actually a screw with a turning bolt on it. You could move once a minute and it would follow the motion of the stars, for example. Well, he's got a drill in his hand that is moving the camera as the space station is moving at 17,500 miles an hour. And you get things like this. Look at that.
That's nice. Don
Pettit is called the MacGyver of the astronauts. He's a Mr. Fix-It guy. And one of the astronauts told me when I said him about being MacGyver, I think it was Harrington. And Harrington said, oh, yeah, his last astronaut interview, he says, I've been here 3 or 4 times already. So all I got to say is, You give me a screwdriver and a paper clip, and I can fix anything on the space station. So then that must have done it. That's the Earth below, stars above, and the blue is a solar panel. This is a shot of the Polaris. He did that by the barn door, moving the camera around and then you got the Earth below. The green is aurora. And what are the white things? You know what the white things are?
They look like stars.
Thunderstorms.
Thunderstorms?
The thunderstorms on Earth popping up over an active area. Now, he may have took a 2 or 3 minute exposure here to get that. And there's another picture of Don Pettit there, the last one, next to the last one, showing the Earth, a city below as he's traveling over a brightly lit city. There you got the Aurora Borealis. And again, he's got that. And look at the reddish above there, another Aurora red above the green there. And this is the cupola. How many cameras there? Nikon cameras. Okay,
well,
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I can see. And look at the Soyuz spacecraft outside there. And I'd like to know what those buttons are for there. Is that the Jetsons food replicator there that you put in there? But there's out the cupola and STS-130 delivered that. Our good friend Kay Heyer, part of that. Hope to see Kay this weekend at the Rocket Ranch reunion. So when you get time in there, apparently you can monopolize and do anything you want in there in your free time. So this is Don Pettit's cameras of things that he put together. Of course, not his cameras, but the NASA cameras there. And he captured a beautiful picture like that of the Earth's aurora. And there you have a big city above there in this time exposure. Actually, that's a storm because that's lightning. The dome in the back is a storm. And there's little red sprites in between the aurora and the storm going on up there. And look at all the stars. So good picture to end our broadcast with today with our good friend Carleton Bailie. 1,175 in the can now here.
Yep.
We've got the Dave Stange watching, my daughter Jessie with McKinley and Macy, Steve Jokums, Connie McDaniel, Dean Babcock, Tom Celentano, Cynthia Rossi, Fox McLeod, John Borelli, Doug Forrest, Ken Edwards, Martin Gioreno, and Neil 1030, and Bill Whiting's watching up there in Michigan. So you met almost all those people there at one time or another.
I've either met them or had private conversations through text and all. And some of them, it's like the fellows that came in here the other day. This is, it's great to hear that, I've been following your work since I was a kid, which is great to hear. But then you go,
yeah, since I was
then
they
you're
were
like,
kids.
oh man, I am getting old.
Yeah.
People come up and say, oh, I saw you when you were a kid.
We have one other guest that we didn't want to leave out today.
Oh, Fodzie is here. Oh, look and see. Oh, he does.
Fodzie in camo today. Okay.
Oh, look, and he's not. Oh, he's kind of affecting the green screen.
Yeah, that's a good looking going across the Copernicus there. Yeah. He's going to eat me up. Better give him back to you there. Of course, Godzilla that turned 70 years old this year.
That's right.
And there's more to Godzilla than I ever thought, thanks to my friendship with Carleton here, who is no doubt an expert in anything Godzilla. But all kidding aside, the movies have a humanistic and philosophical message, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones coming out of Japan are showing, hey, man, you better take care of this place.
So have a lot of fun with that. That's one of the many mascots that photographers take with them out there. Good luck charms, and certainly brought you good luck over the ages.
Well, and he has many astronauts as friends on his Facebook page.
Yeah, he does. He's got a lot of astronaut Facebook. Well, Marty, thank you for a great Streamlabs job. John Borella liked it, and Steve Jokums liked it. Thank you, Steve. Steve and I are F1 fans, and they're on the streets of Las Vegas. But the race is 10 o'clock Vegas time, 1 o'clock our time, on Saturday night. All right, so instead of Sunday. So, Viva Las Vegas, go Ferrari.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Well,
Appreciate
thank
you on here.
I appreciate and
I've told Carleton he can work up a show a month on his own and present some of the historic missions and payloads in the White Room that you photographed. I think it's important we keep that legacy up, as well as entertain you with photography from time to time.
and there are a lot of payloads that went up on unmanned rockets, like the Delta II and the Atlas I, the Atlas II, Atlas III. They skipped Atlas IV. There was already a Delta IV, so
Well, if we didn't have unmanned spacecraft, we wouldn't have any idea what
we wouldn't be
Neptune,
on.
Pluto, or Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and all look like. So
We wouldn't be on air today, probably.
That's
and
right,
we wouldn't have
that's
cell
right.
phones.
well, again, thanks, Marty. We're going to rest up over the weekend, have a couple of shows for you next week, and then, like you all, enjoy Thanksgiving break. And things are good here at the museum. Monday, I'll try to get our executive director, Gabriel Rothblatt, on to give you an update. I am the director of the museum day-to-day operations, and we're looking forward to seeing more changes here in a positive way that are oriented towards our guests and what we do here to promote the birth of the American space age in its delivery room, Brevard County. So until next time, I'm Mark Marquette saying I can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.